In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Following the previous discussions, in this session, I explain sensory and imaginative conception in the philosophy of Avicenna. In the philosophy of Avicenna, al-ilm al-husuli, acquired knowledge. I explained the meaning of acquired knowledge, or we can call it representative knowledge. In his philosophy, this sort of knowledge can be classified into two parts. The first part is universal, the knowledge of universals, and the second type is the knowledge of particulars. And in the knowledge of particulars, we have three sorts of conceptions: sensory, imaginative, and in the following I will explain that there is another sort, which is al-ilm al-wahmi. Sensory, the Arabic term here is al-ilm al-hissi. Imaginative, the Arabic term here is al-ilm al-khayali. Let me explain these two terms here. Sensory conception, tasawwur al-hissi, is an apprehension that occurs in the mind through the external sensory faculties, with the participation of the common sense regarding a material and perceptible object. Avicenna maintains that the materiality, tajarrud, of such a form is weak, as it is conditioned upon the presence of matter in relation to the sensory organ. However, after the connection with the sensory organ is severed, this form nevertheless persists, but it is then designated as imaginative conception. For example, there is, here a book in front of me, and I see it. When I see it, when it is in front of me and I see it, I have sensory conception in my mind. When I am connected to this book, I mean when I see it. But after seeing, when this sensory organ is severed, for example, suppose that I hide the book and then I do not see the book, or I leave this room and then I don't see a book, then I have an image of the book in my mind. It is called imaginative concept. Imaginative concept. So imaginative concept is like sensory concept. What is the difference? The difference is that when I am connected to the external world, at the time of connection, it is called sensory concept or sensory conception. But when my connection with the sensory organ is severed, then we have imaginative conceptions. In both cases, I have a form of the book in my mind. But when I am connected to the external world, it is called sensory conception. When I'm disconnected, it is called imaginative conception. So here, and there are some points here. One point is that the Avicenna used the term common sense, al-hiss al-mushtarak. The common sense here is the translation of al-hiss al-mushtarak. But the common sense here is different from its meaning in the contemporary philosophy. common sense or al-hiss al-mushtarak here is a faculty of understanding of the particular concepts. It is a term in the philosophy of Avicenna. And another point is that according to Avicenna, both thoughts, sensory and imaginative concepts, both of them are material. Sometimes Avicenna says that the sensory conception is the weakest source of conception. What is the meaning of weakest? It means is that it is more material. It is more close to materiality. And then in the next level is imaginative conceptions. But sometimes he says that both of them are material, but sometimes make gradation. They said he says that there are two levels. Sensory conception are weaker, and imaginative concepts are a little in the higher level. So, and I explained the meaning of these terms and their materiality. The next topic here is about estimative perception. Avicenna regards estimative perception al-idrak al-wahmi as the apprehension of a meaning rather than a form. A form is a characteristic of material objects, whereas a meaning is non-material, such as the perception of friendship, enmity, goodness, or evil in a thing. So now I have explained sensory conception, and then imaginative conception, and here estimative perception. What is the meaning of estimative? It is a term in the philosophy of Avicenna. The Arabic term is al-idrak al-wahmi. The Arabic term is al-idrak al-wahmi. The translation of it is estimative perception. Estimative perception. What is the difference between estimative perception and the last ones? I mean the imaginary perception and the sensory perception and imaginative perception. What is the difference? The difference here is that it is the apprehension of meaning. Here Avicenna uses two terms: form, meaning. Form is the characteristic of material objects. For example, this book has a form. This cell phone has a form. This computer has a form. A surah. But another term is meaning. Meaning is something that has no material. It is not the mere material, like friendship, enmity, goodness, evil. It is like abstract objects that have meaning. Avicenna says here we have meaning, not form. Estimative perception is the apprehension of meaning, not form. In the sensory perception, we have apprehension of form. But in the estimative perception, we have apprehension of meaning. So now we have became aware of three terms: sensory and imaginative concepts, which are related to forms, and estimative perception, which is related to meaning. What is the meaning of meaning here? Meaning means perception of something like friendship, enmity, goodness, evil in a thing. When, for example, when I know you, I know that, for example, I know your body, I know who you are, I mean the material body that you have. Here it is sensory perception. But when I know your friendship or enmity with me, it is called meaning, understanding of meaning, apprehension of meaning. And it is related to estimative perception. But another point is that some critics of Avicenna said that what is the meaning of estimative perception? If it is universal, it must be intellectual perception. What is the meaning of intellectual perception in the philosophy of Avicenna? In the philosophy of Avicenna, intellectual perception is about understanding of universals. So critics held that what is the meaning of estimative perception? In the philosophy of Avicenna, estimative perception is about particulars. So the critics argue that if it were about universals, it would contradict with the presumption of Avicenna that he holds that it is about particular objects. But if it is about particular objects, the problem is that the understanding of meaning is a sort of knowledge by presence, not knowledge by not acquired knowledge, not representative knowledge. So it is the objection. I don't intend in this class to explain the objections, but sometimes I say some of the objections that have been mentioned, that something that have been explained. And one of the objection is this. The objection is that when I understand something, something like something like friendship or goodness, this sort of meaning is understood but by the knowledge of presence, al-ilm al-huzuri, whereas the division of particular pertain to acquired knowledge, al-ilm al-usuli. This is one of the objections that mentioned against Avicenna. In the next session, I will explain his idea about the division of intelligence into primary and secondary.